Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. The Delta Report and Hurricane Delta. Okay, this is a 140-mile-an-hour hurricane already. And, this is amazing, and it's setting its sights in Louisiana and New Orleans. So, New Orleans is an extremely low city. Parts of the city are even below sea level. A lot of people don't know that. You get a hurricane that comes in there just the right time at high tide with an unusually large storm surge, and it can breach the levees in New Orleans. And that's what we seen Katrina do years ago. So let's get started and take a closer look at Delta and see just exactly what it might do to New Orleans. And let's start the charts right here, and let's take a look at this storm. First thing we're going to take a look at is the satellite imagery. Now, you see that black-looking blob down in the lower left-hand side of the screen? That's Delta. And I'm going to tell you what, I've looked at an awful lot of satellite imagery of hurricanes before, and that black area is your highest intensity of very cold cloud tops. That's called convection. And that's what feeds a hurricane. This hurricane is getting tons of food. That's about the biggest area of super high convection that I've ever seen in a hurricane. That area is hundreds of miles across. And it's like just absolutely torrential rain and lightning and wind. It's just unbelievable the amount of power that's in this hurricane right now. In other words, she's well fed. Okay, and so it's growing in intensity very quickly because of that. Let's take a look exactly where this hurricane is. It's at a center location of 18.5 degrees north, 83.5 degrees west, and it's sustained winds of 140 miles per hour, which puts it up there already at around the intensity of, in that area, the intensity of Katrina. Now, we've had several storms this season so far hit in the area of Louisiana and in the area of Texas. But they were very, very small storms as far as hurricanes are concerned. They weren't big hurricanes. This hurricane is going to move there past Mexico, past the area of Mexico that sticks out into the Gulf of Mexico, and it's going to clip it. Just clip it. Just barely clip that area. In other words, it's going to make landfall there, but just barely. Okay? What that's going to do, what happens to a hurricane when it makes landfall, is it basically just like when you open up a tin can. You got your can opener and you open up the top of the tin can. That's what the land does to a hurricane. It opens up the eye wall, and it dispenses the winds out over a wider area from that eye wall. Then the hurricane's going to move back over open water again, where the eye wall is going to re-intensify. But that eye wall will never be a small, tight eye wall like it is right now. Right now, this is a small hurricane with a small eye wall. Once that eye wall's busted open, like the can opener busts open the can, that eye wall just basically loses wind speed, but it expands in size, grows much larger. So what that'll do is this will make this into a big hurricane rather than a small hurricane. Like we've had two small hurricanes earlier this year. This hurricane's not going to be a small hurricane. This hurricane, by the time the eye wall's broken open and then it moves back over open water again, it re-intensifies, it's going to be a big hurricane with a much larger wind field. And so it's going to have days. It's going to have all day Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday, while it's over the open, warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. So it can re-intensify. It's probably going to be at least a Category 3, or probably a strong Category 2 by the time it makes landfall, around 8 a.m. Saturday, into Louisiana. Now, also, the eastern side of the storm is the winds in New Orleans this time is going to be getting the eastern side of the storm. So the impact on New Orleans from this storm is going to be much greater than the storms they've had earlier this year. In my estimation, it's going to be a much higher impact on New Orleans. especially if this storm were to move a little bit more eastward from where it is right now. But all of the models, computer models, if we take a look at the computer models here, they all show it making landfall somewhere in New Orleans. Now, the National Hurricane Center, here if we look at the computer models, have picked the eastern side guidance of the computer modeling. You know, so there's a very good chance it could take the western side guidance, which would spare New Orleans a little bit more, so they wouldn't get quite as much of the brunt of this storm. But we're going to be keeping particularly a close eye on this storm once it reemerges back into the Gulf of Mexico, probably later this week, a couple days from now. I'm going to take a much closer examination of this storm, and it'll give me a much better guidance as to what its wind speed is and what its impact on New Orleans might be. Okay, but at any rate, even if it misses New Orleans, still this storm is going to bring a lot of impact into Louisiana, you know, and possibly other states like Alabama, and you know, it's going to catch the northernmost tip of Alabama. You know, it's these hurricanes, you know, can spread winds and rain out of them over a much wide area. You know, as it moves up to Louisiana, as it moves up the Mississippi River Basin, up through following the Mississippi. That's what it looks like it's going to do. It looks like it's going to follow the Mississippi. So we see the rapid intensification here of this storm. It jumped from 115 miles an hour earlier today. Its megabars, 956 megabars, it hasn't dropped that much in its megabars. It was 955 and then it's 956, but the wind speed's picked up an awful lot. Okay, that's your first initial report on this storm. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. Let me see if we can put this in motion. Give me a second here. No, I guess not. Like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys in the next video. And you guys have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.